An old man in a faded flannel shirt sits quietly outside the SEAL training compound. Most think he's just a drifter, too worn down to matter. But when recruit James Myers spots the weathered SEAL trident tattoo on his forearm, everything changes. He's not just watching, he's remembering. They thought he was nobody. What they didn't know, Thomas Harrow is a retired operator who served in missions that don't officially exist. And now Myers and everyone around him is about to learn what silent strength really looks like. Stick around, because when the past rises from the shadows, even warriors stop and listen. Let us know where you're watching from and what time you found this. We read every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. The morning fog rolls thick across the San Diego coastline as Thomas Harrow adjusts his worn flannel shirt, the fabric soft from years of washing. His fingers brush against the faded SEAL trident tattooed on his forearm, a badge of honor he's carried for 2 decades. The familiar weight of his brass compass sits heavy in his pocket, its scratched surface telling stories he's never spoken aloud. The crunch of boots on gravel breaks through the morning stillness. Young recruits emerge from the mist, their determined faces reminding Thomas of faces long past, brothers who never made it home from missions that don't exist in any official record. He settles onto his usual bench deliberately early as always, just another ghost watching the next generation prepare for battles they can't yet imagine. Thomas reaches into his pocket, feeling the worn edges of his compass. The metal catches the first rays of dawn, throwing golden light across its surface. 20 years since Laos, since missions that still wake him in the cold hours before sunrise, and still this place draws him back every Thursday without fail. Sir, a young voice cuts through his reverie. Thomas looks up to find a recruit, James Myers according to his uniform, standing at parade rest. I've seen you here before, every Thursday, right? Thomas nods, surprised at being noticed. For years he's been invisible here, just another old-timer watching the drills. Perfect. That's how he preferred it. But something in the young man's eyes, a recognition, a respect, makes him pause. My grandfather, James continues, voice soft but steady. He was a SEAL too. Never talked about it much, but he had a compass just like that one. Said it guided him home when everything else failed. The brass feels warmer in Thomas's grip. How many untold stories, how many silent warriors carry similar tokens? He looks at James, really looks at him, and sees not just another recruit, but a bridge between generations of quiet heroes. Type respect if you believe some of the greatest warriors fight their battles in silence. The morning fog starts to lift, and with it, a question emerges. How many forgotten heroes walk among us carrying weights we never see? Their victories unrecorded, their battles fought in shadows, their courage measured not in medals, but in the silent bearing of burdens too heavy for most to imagine. Some mornings watching these young recruits, I wonder if they can see the invisible threads connecting us all. Warriors past and present, the acknowledged and the forgotten. My compass points not just to true north anymore, but to a deeper truth that honor lives not in recognition, but in the quiet moments when no one's watching. In the choices we make when history isn't keeping score. The sound of the morning bugle cuts through the air, sharp and clear. Thomas stands, straightening his flannel shirt with practiced precision. James snaps to attention, but his eyes linger on the compass, understanding dawning in his gaze. Sometimes the greatest acts of courage happen in the spaces between official records in the margins of history, where silent warriors carry their truth. Quiet. Warrior begins trending as Thomas's story touches something deep in the hearts of millions who understand that some battles are fought not with weapons, but with unwavering presence and silent strength. Through the chain-link fence of the SEAL training compound, I adjust my well-worn BDU cap, a habit from decades past. The morning fog rolls thick across the obstacle course, where young recruits push their limits. My weathered hands grip the metal lynx knuckles white with memories as helicopter rotors thrum in the distance. Most days I'm content to be a shadow, one of the forgotten warriors whose missions never made the books. But there's something about that recruit, Myers. The way his eyes catch mine through the fence, a flash of recognition despite the impossible gap of years between us. He sees what others miss. The research is clear. Historical amnesia impacts more than just records. Studies show that unacknowledged service creates generational ripples of disconnection. We carry classified medals in dusty boxes, memories sealed behind security clearances. Our families inherit the silence. The weight settles deeper with each passing year. Not just the physical toll of old wounds, but the burden of untold stories. How many others drift through life carrying redacted chapters? Sometimes I wonder if the greatest service is letting the truth fade, protecting newer generations from darker knowledge. Yet Myers's searching gaze pulls at something buried deep. My compass, an old brass model from those jungle operations, sits heavy in my pocket. Its needle still swings true north, unlike the spinning moral compasses we navigated by in places that didn't officially exist. Places like Laos, where good men vanished into thin air and black ink. The distant thud of rotor blades grows louder, and I watch Myers's head snap up, tracking the sound with trained precision. He's got the instinct. Through my weekly visits, I've noticed how he studies everything. The terrain, the shadows, the veterans who haunt the perimeter, building a picture piece by piece. Sir, his voice carries across the fence, startling me from reflection. You're here every week, why? The question hangs between us like mist. In his eyes, I see an echo of myself decades ago, before classified operations and redacted reports became my reality. Before I learned that some stories stay buried for a reason, my hand brushes the compass, its worn surface, a testament to paths walked in shadow. Some courses can't be plotted on any map, son, I finally reply. Some headings only point to questions. He nods slowly, understanding more than he should. The morning fog starts burning off, but deeper shadows remain. As I turn to leave, my compass swings again toward true north, toward the truth that lies buried beneath decades of silence. Have you ever carried an untold story? Share a one below if you understand the weight of silence. The hidden costs run deeper than any declassified document could show. Studies on intergenerational trauma reveal how unspoken burdens pass down through families. My own children grew up with a father who disappeared for months into officially non-existent operations. They learned early not to ask certain questions. Myers represents a new generation, one that might finally be ready to understand. Not the classified details or redacted mission reports, but the human cost of necessary shadows. As I walk away from the fence, the compass grows heavier in my pocket. Some headings lead to places we're not yet ready to map, but in that recruit's questioning gaze, I see the first glimmers of dawn breaking through decades of tactical darkness. Perhaps that's why I keep returning. Not to remember, but to ensure someone will be left to ask the right questions when the time finally comes. The helicopter's shadow passes overhead, and for a moment I'm transported back to other times, other places. But the present pulls me forward. There are still stories to be told in their own time. For now, I'll keep my weekly vigil watching as a new generation finds its bearing in a world of hidden truths. The metallic echo of dumbbells hitting the gym floor punctuates James Myers's determined breaths as he pores over another dusty file, his fingers tracing the faded names of forgotten heroes. The late afternoon sun streams through the compound's windows, casting long shadows across the scattered papers surrounding him. His standard-issue watch, handed down from his father, also a serviceman, ticks steadily beside a stack of declassified mission reports. Sir. His voice carries across the empty training room to where Thomas Harrow stands a silent sentinel in the doorway. James quickly gathers his research, careful not to disturb the precise order he's maintained. I've been finding patterns in these reports. Missions that saved countless lives, but never made the headlines. The weight of discovery sits heavy in his chest as he pulls out a particularly worn document, its corners soft from decades of storage. These teams, they weren't just completing missions. They were protecting entire communities, preventing disasters before anyone knew they were coming. His voice catches slightly, emotion bleeding through his professional demeanor. A notification buzzes on his phone. Another piece of the puzzle falling into place from his contact at the National Archives. James glances at the screen, then back at the stoic figure of Harrow, noting how the older man's expression shifts almost imperceptibly. Sometimes the greatest acts of courage leave no trace, like footprints washed away by the tide. Every document I uncover feels like bringing another hero back into the light. But am I disturbing something better left in shadow? The weight of this knowledge presses against my chest like a physical thing. Have you ever discovered a truth that changed how you see everything? The training compound's familiar sounds fade into background noise as James reorganizes his findings, each paper representing another thread in a tapestry of silent sacrifice. His father's watch catches the light, reminding him of conversations never had, questions never answered. These men and women, James says quietly, more to himself than to Harrow, they carried the weight of secrecy not for glory, but because someone had to. His fingers brush against a photo of a team whose names have been redacted, their faces young and determined, unaware they would become ghosts in their own story. Drop 2 if you believe every hero deserves to be remembered, even if their story was never told. The sun dips lower, painting the room in amber hues, as James carefully returns the files to their folders. Each movement is deliberate, respectful, like handling sacred texts. His research has opened doors he never expected, revealing consequences that ripple through decades. Consequences that change not just history, but how we understand sacrifice itself. The metallic clasp of his father's watch catches as he checks the time, a small imperfection that speaks of years of faithful service. Like the stories he's uncovering, some marks of devotion only show themselves to those who know where to look. James stands gathering his materials with the same precision he's applied to his investigation. Tomorrow will bring more discoveries, more pieces to this puzzle of honor and silence. But for now he carries the weight of knowing, truly knowing, what it means to serve in the shadows. The setting sun throws one final beam across the room, illuminating the dust motes like stars, each one a story waiting to be told, each one a consequence of choices made in darkness for the light of day. The early morning sun casts long shadows across the SEAL training compound as Thomas Harrow's weathered fingers trace the newly installed brass plate. His weekly ritual, once a solitary vigil, has transformed into something deeper. The metal feels cool against his skin as he reads the simple inscription, "To those who walked these grounds in silence, your footsteps echo still." The sound of morning colors plays in the distance, carrying on the salt-laden breeze. Thomas adjusts his old service compass, a constant companion since his active duty days, feeling its familiar weight as it trembles slightly in his grip. He remembers the first time young James Myers noticed him here, not with suspicion or dismissal, but with quiet recognition. "Sir," Myers approaches softly, his fellow recruits hanging back respectfully. "We wanted you to see it first." The young man's voice carries the same understated strength Thomas remembers from their initial encounter weeks ago. No fanfare, no ceremony, just acknowledgement. Thomas runs his fingers over the engraved letters again, his throat tightening. The morning light catches the brass, making it glow like a beacon. Around him, the compound slowly awakens. Boots on gravel, distant cadence calls the metallic clang of equipment being readied for another day of training. These sounds, once part of his daily life, now carry new meaning. "You didn't have to do this." Thomas manages his voice rough with emotion. Myers stands at ease, his posture reflecting both respect and understanding. "Yes, sir, we did. Your presence here every week. It reminds us what this is all about. Not just the training, but the brotherhood. The ones who came before." The compass weighs heavy in Thomas's pocket as he thinks of his own teammates, some long gone. Their faces flash through his mind, young, determined forever, frozen in time. The brass plate catches another ray of sunlight, sending a warm glow across the weathered concrete wall. "Some of us noticed you'd always check your compass when you arrived." Myers continues quietly. "Like you were making sure you were in exactly the right spot. We realized this was your way of standing watch. For them." A small group of recruits has gathered now, maintaining a respectful distance. Their presence feels right, a bridge between past and present, between those who served and those who will serve. The morning colors finish playing the last notes, fading into the maritime air. Type honor if you believe in the power of silent dedication. Thomas straightens his shoulders, a lifetime of discipline evident in his bearing. "Keep watch with honor," he says, simply touching the compass one last time. The words carry weight beyond their simplicity. A passing of responsibility, a recognition of continuity. Myers nods, understanding flowing between generations of warriors. "We will, sir. Every morning, every evening. The plate's just making official what you've been doing all along." The sun climbs higher, casting shorter shadows now. Thomas steps back, taking in the full view. The plate, the wall, the compound stretching behind it. His weekly visits have evolved from solitary remembrance to something more profound, a living connection between past and present, between the spoken and the unspoken. The recruits move out, heading to their morning training. But something has shifted. Their steps carry new purpose. Their silence holds new meaning. Thomas watches them go, his compass steady now in his pocket. Some stories don't need words to be told. They live in actions, in quiet dedication, in the understanding passed from one generation to the next. Silent honor begins trending as photos of the plate spread across military community networks, but Thomas doesn't need the validation. The real acknowledgement is in the morning light on brass, in the steady footsteps of young warriors, in the quiet understanding that bridges decades of service. Share this if you believe in honoring those who serve silently. The morning breeze carries the scent of salt and dedication, and Thomas begins his walk home, knowing his watch has taken on new meaning. His compass points true not just to location, but to purpose, to the understanding that some forms of honor speak loudest through silence. Through the pre-dawn mist, I trace my familiar path along the compound's perimeter, my weathered boots silent against the damp sand. 23 years of Thursday mornings have carved this ritual into my soul, as deeply as the seal trident once carved into my chest. The seabirds wheel overhead their calls, a symphony I've come to know as intimately as my own heartbeat. My fingers brush the challenge coin in my pocket, its metal worn smooth from decades of touch. Each groove and ridge tells a story, not of glory or recognition, but of the quiet moments between battles, the silent sacrifices that shape warriors more than any medal ever could. The young recruit Myers reminds me of another time, another dawn, when I stood where he stands now. His determination burns bright, but it's his awareness of the unseen that sets him apart. He's noticed my presence these past months, not with fear or suspicion, but with a growing understanding that some lessons can't be taught in training manuals. I place the coin carefully atop his gear, positioned so the morning sun will catch its surface. The message I've waited 23 years to pass on is simple: still watching. Not a threat, but a promise. A reminder that true leadership often moves like shadow across water, felt rather than seen, guiding without demanding attention. A gull's cry pierces the silence as I step back, my reflection catching in a puddle. The face that looks back is lined with years of service, but the eyes still hold the same fire that burned when I first earned my trident. It's different now, though, tempered by time and understanding. The compound stirs to life behind me. Boots on gravel muffled commands the rhythm of a new generation finding their way. But they move differently now, with the awareness that wasn't there before. They've begun to notice the invisible threads that bind us all, past, present, and future warriors connected by something deeper than rank or regulation. My watch shows 5:47, time to fade back into the morning shadows. But as I turn to leave, I catch a glimpse of Myers through the chain-link fence. He pauses in his morning routine, eyes scanning the perimeter with quiet intensity. He doesn't see me, but he feels the presence, the weight of legacy, the responsibility of carrying forward not just the visible traditions, but the silent ones too. The seabirds circle one last time as I make my way back along the shore. My Thursday vigil will continue as it has for 23 years. But something fundamental has shifted, like the turning of an invisible tide. In learning to honor the silence, they've begun to hear its wisdom. In searching for the unseen, they've discovered its strength. True north isn't always marked on maps. Sometimes it's found in the spaces between heartbeats, in the pause before dawn, in the understanding that passes without words between those who carry the same fire in their souls. The sun breaks fully over the horizon as I reach my truck, casting long shadows across the parking lot. Another Thursday, complete another thread woven into the tapestry of silent service. Some might call it living in the past, but they'd be missing the point. It's not about holding on to what was. It's about bridging what is with what could be, one quiet morning at a time. Share if you believe true strength lies in the silent moments of service. 3. Silent warriors. My boots leave no trace in the sand as I drive away, but the impact of this morning will ripple outward like waves from a stone dropped in still water. The next generation understands now. True strength lies not in being seen, but in seeing clearly, in honoring the silence they've spoken volumes, and that perhaps is the ultimate truth I've been guarding all these years.